Thank you, Chairman, and welcome, Mr. O'Neill. It's good to see you again. I was excited yesterday to see the nomination from President Trump of Dr. Casey Means to be the Surgeon General. And certainly she has been an expert on all things MAHA and nutrition and metabolism, importance of mitochondria. And I want to relate that to, you mentioned in your testimony that you're anxious to reform our food system to prioritize health. And just kind of tell me what that vision looks like and how can you work with Dr. Means and the other folks there at HHS?
Thank you so much for the question, Senator, and I really enjoyed our meeting a few weeks ago. You know, I note that you mentioned the word mitochondria. I've noticed that 3 years ago, people didn't know anything about that. They remember from high school biology, oh yes, mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. But in the past few years, thanks to a lot of smart people talking about metabolism much more than in the past, people are starting to be interested. You know, infectious disease is still a very serious challenge to a lot of people, but metabolism, metabolic disorders, chronic diseases are getting more attention. I think that's wonderful. I hope they continue to get attention from researchers, from physicians, from patients. Regarding the food system, the unfortunate situation today is that a lot of families really try hard to be healthier and have healthier habits, and it's not easy. They go to the grocery store, junk food is much cheaper than healthy food. They're not even sure which food is healthy. Nutrition labels can be confusing. Official government nutrition advice, the dietary guidelines that two departments issue every 5 years often seem to lag by decades. Actual nutrition science. Real nutrition science is so hard to do because there's so many stakeholders with an interest in particular outcomes. I think it's essential that we have good nutrition research that is free from outside influence. There's a metabolism lab at NIH that I visited where you lock people in a room with their consent for days, measure every calorie that goes in and goes out, exercise.
I've seen those studies.
We need more of that. There was talk a year ago of shutting that down. I think we should have more of that.
Okay. You also mentioned prioritize health for our children, and I want to just focus for a second on mental health. I'm not sure if you had the opportunity to read the book, The Anxious Generation, but if you haven't, surely would recommend that you do that. What role do you think social media apps have played in the mental health of our children and young adults?
Thank you, Senator. That's a great concern. So companies that develop apps have an interest in maximizing the amount of time that users spend on the apps, the amount of engagement, try to hook them into it. That's expected given that they're, trying to grow their business. But that's not necessarily what's best for users, especially young users. And so there's more and more awareness that social media can be an addiction and that it especially could have a profound lasting influence on young developing brains. Brains seem to keep developing until age 25, so people that don't even think of themselves as children could still be, well, adults could also suffer negatively. So yes, that is a concern that HHS should have a role in researching and communicating best practices.
Great. Certainly adds to the loneliness as well. Maybe the little time we have left, I just want to emphasize the importance of replicating previous studies. Again, you mentioned that in your testimony. Over 20 years ago, an NIH study on Alzheimer's took us down in the wrong direction, and that study was never replicated. So what does that look like? I mean, you don't want your best buddy to do the replication of that surgery. It needs to be another non-biased person. So how do you implement that plan?
Absolutely. So there's two ways a study could lead us down the wrong road. One is outright fraud, which has happened in Alzheimer's research. And the other is, it's kind of bad luck. You do one study, there was no intention of fraud, but the results, were an unusual combination. The stars were in a certain alignment, and it's also not going to replicate. So, there's a lot of talk about the replication crisis in all of science about 10 years ago, and it's still an unsolved problem. I think NIH should devote, and the problem is no one has a financial interest in replicating studies. So NIH should do that. And I think that would be something that NIH can do best. Whether that should be conducted operationally as one whole division of NIH focused on replication, or whether there should be a replication branch in each institute, I'm open to arguments both ways.